Hello everyone, Azarinth here, and today we're going to take a look at the Nexus, which is going to be a core part of Ash Echoes that you're going to be in quite often as you're building up your leaders for your teams. And when it comes to the leader of your team, they're kind of what determines the core stats of the team overall. And one of the main reasons you're going to be doing it quite often is because not only is like your main person of your team lead that you want, some of the content in this game that I found, which one of them being joint training here, is that once you use a leader, they get assigned to that area, and then you can't use them again later on in this endgame mode, which means that you'll have to use someone else as your leader. So if I actually go here and go in, and when I want to go to pick my leader, it'll tell me which ones are already in use. And so I can't use any of these for this, so I'll have to have another leader that I have to get to be able to do that. Now, that doesn't impact who can be your Echomancers, because even though they're assigned as a leader to one, you can still bring in other members. So if you have a core team of 7 people, you can cycle through them as leaders to use that same team for multiple parts of this content. So I could do all of these 6 right here with the same core team. It would just have to be a different leader each time. And so that's where Nexus is going to be quite important. So when we take a look at the Nexus here, first thing you are going to see is this currency at the top called Spirit. This Spirit is the currency that it costs to actually run the Nexus. You get 1 Spirit per day, so you'll at least be able to run it once per day. But then you also have another item here, a Spirit Enhancer, which gives you +1. You'll get this through just dailies and other type of events. So you can stockpile this, and so you'll be able to run it quite often right off the bat, because we're giving quite a few of it in the beginning. And in worst case, if you really need to run it, you can use your X particles. Just remember, this is the currency you're using to actually do your polls. So you're not really going to want to use this if at all possible. Now you will see there are 2 different modes here, and they probably will add some more in the future. The big thing that's the difference between these is when you go into it, they have exclusive path skills. So like I said, this is where you're going to be building up your leader, which includes all their skills from the memory traces as well as their stats. So the big difference between these 2 is they each have their own exclusive path skills. So when you're building your team, you're going to want to figure out which one works best for that group. Now when we go into it, so you will first pick who you want to actually build the engraving for. My suggestion in the beginning is you're going to want to get an engraving for just about every unit. So I'm just kind of going down the list of my units, because I'm kind of using everybody right now. It's just kind of a mixed match. This isn't looking to min-max at this point. We're just kind of going through it, so I'm not actually looking at any strategy at this point. So like you can see right here, Ivana, I've already run this, and I've got her an engraving rating of A20. I believe this goes all the way up to like SSR or something. I don't know what the highest number is, but the biggest thing is you're just going to want to go up the standard rating scale up to the highest maximum level you can get. And then when you look at the person, they have their leader engraving skills. So this is just a skill that comes along with them when they're the leader. So you have Ivana, which I've already run. One of hers is the increased basic attack damage by 12%. Another one's each time you have freeze. So you can tell she's a freeze unit. And so she's buffing up your freeze units and basic attacks. So you're kind of looking for who are the best leaders for the group because of these engraving skills. And so once you've picked the person that you want to make an engraving for, you'll click them. So like right now, I'm going to be running it for this unit just because I haven't actually gotten engraving on them yet. So you can take a look at his skills. It increases extra damage against airborne units. And then it's whether a 2 or more wind on the field applies when stack inspire. So he's going to be good for airborne attacks as well as wind units. So that's kind of the main thing from him. You can go to the next screen, and this is where you're going to pick the memory traces. So these are those, they're not exactly weapons, but you pull it just like if it was a weapons banner. So you want to pick your main 5, and then you can actually select an aiding one at that point. So when you go in the memory traces, if you remember, you have your SSRs, SRs, and Rs. So when you go into them and look at these memory traces, if you remember, the ratio of this is kind of how you're going to acquire these skill points as you're running it. And when we get into the Nexus, you'll kind of see it. It's going to give you the options to select increasing stats of your cards, and it's going to tell you that plus as you're running through. So you kind of want to know, you want to get a good mix match of the most important stats for your current team. Right now, I'm not actually trying to min-max. We're just going to pick any, just my top ones at this point. And then when you go into the Nexus skills, these are skills that as you're running the Nexus that you can acquire through selecting when it gives you the option. Now, a lot of the memory traces will share some of the same skills. And so when it comes to your team, when you're building it, you're going to want to look at, well, what are all the skills I want? As long as you have all the memory traces that cover all of the skills you want, then the main big thing that you're looking at are the basic stats. And that also includes the Trace Awakening, which is something that you'll slowly increase through the Nexus. And they have certain requirements here, like you have this one on her, Strong Relief when the engravings. So if you get your Vitality above 750, then restores HP equal to 50%. So this is just another thing that you can slowly walk through as we run the Nexus, and you'll kind of see it as we're doing it. So when we go in here, let's go ahead and select all the ones we're going to want. If you don't want to, if you don't know really what you want to use, a quick way you can do it, especially in the beginning when you're just trying to get some built real quick, you can just click up here. You can do a custom of how you want it to kind of be configured, and then it'll actually build it for you. Or you can just click balanced, and it'll give you a balanced build of them. When it comes to the 81, especially in the beginning, like right now, there are people with really high leveled ones, and so I just take one of the top level ones I can find, just because it's already level 60 while all mine are level 30, so that's going to give me massive boost compared to mine. So we go ahead, after you select those, you go in, you click start, and the Nexus will start up. And you get in here, it kind of gives you your initial starting stats based on what you've selected for your memory traces. And then we have it right at the start here. And so if anyone who's played HSR in the Divergent universe, I feel like it works very similar to that, in that you're just running through different levels and you're slowly working your way up to building your unit. So you just have your stats down here. You want to know a good balance of it. So you're going to have different events that you're running into. Think of them as like occurrences from HSR. And then you'll also have battle events as well. And each time you go in through these different events, it's going to give you the option like to pick your skills or picking up a leveling up a stat or other different little things. So we'll kind of run through a couple here to kind of see that in motion. So right now at the beginning, it started me off immediately with the fight. So your one unit's the only one fighting in it. They do have their skills down here. And so after you get your victory, so then it's going to say, do you want to go up? So this is where it's kind of, it tells you recommended defense, but you want to slowly climb up this, and you'll get better stats increases the higher you go. And so you want to try and go up to the max that you can really handle. Now, if you fail a fight, it's not immediately the end. You're just not going to get anything from it. So you have a different interaction here. So this is where you're starting to pick your stats. So I have the option between Vitality, Defense, or MST. It doesn't have any of my cards here, so there's no real boost to these, so you just kind of pick whatever one's the main one to you. I like to get Defense and Vitality, especially in the beginning, just to make it a little easier to run through it. And then, so okay, I got another option here. And so, and if you can see up here in the top left, there's 7 things that I'm getting as I'm going through this one. So this one's letting me pick. So I have 18 Vitality, 15 Defense, or I can get 19 MST if you look at the cards here. Right now, I like to get my Vitality and Defense up, so I'm just going to go with the higher one of those two. Okay, so this next one's another big one. So this one is trying to give me attack, but it's only 9. Or I can get 15 Defense or 19 MST. I'm just going to go with the Defense. And it's just going to make it so I can survive a little bit better as we get into the higher depths. And so this one's actually kind of low on 13, so it's like, oh, I'll go over 19 here. And you just kind of move through these as you see them. Once you get used to the game, it gets pretty quick on making the decisions. Now, there is an auto mode. There is some stories to this. We're going to skip that because I've already run through it, so I can skip it. So I have another encounter here. But there is one thing you can see here in the top right. Yeah, it says full auto. So once you have this down and you really know what you want, you can actually use this to have it prioritize. Now, I haven't messed with it too much other than just leaving it on the standard, but you can tell it how far you want it to go down depth-wise. You can tell it what to prioritize on your skills. So which cards do you want to prioritize over others, and it'll actually run the whole thing for you, and it's really nice on the quality of life. In the beginning, it might be nice, but when you're actually wanting to nitpick on exactly what you want, you may want to manually do it. And so we haven't had the option for a skill yet, so we'll kind of work our way towards a skill, and I can kind of show how that works. Okay, so we're going to go up to depth 5. I mean, I'm already high enough level that my units seem to be able to make it to around 10 to 12, so we can push through these earlier levels fairly quickly to increase our rewards. Do not... Oh, there we go. Oh, and it just kind of started running through it for me. Okay, sorry, I had auto on and I clicked it to start it. So here's one thing where it pops up where you're now selecting your skill. So this is the Trace Awakening, if you remember in the card that was on one on the right. And so you slowly are working your way through this to increase the Awakening. And so it's giving me skill points down here. And so you have how many skill points you need to get everything on the left and how many you have available. As you get through it, it'll give you the options. Some of the options will give you plus skill points. I find that they're really important to get because towards the end, I have way more skills than I have available skill points to use them. And at the end of the Nexus, you're only going to be able to pick ones that go up to that cap. And we'll see that when we get to the end here. So this one I have no option, so I just select that one. So this is just more skill points here. Oh, we're moving up a trace in another one, so we'll take that skill. And then we're upgrading this memory enhancement. So there's just a lot of things that are getting thrown at you. We're not going to go into depth into actual builds or anything here. So I'm just kind of selecting as I go through. A big way I like to see is that I just kind of go over the big numbers initially. Because sometimes you'll see different, you'll see really low compared to others. Eventually you're going to have the actual builds that you're going to want to do, and there'll be specific targets. So we'll just kind of go through here. We'll go through the next one. This is an event. We're going to skip the story. So you have this mental load. This is just something as you're going through. If it gets really high, it's going to reduce your stats. So you're going to, sometimes it'll give you option to take the reduced mental load versus getting stats. You just have to make the decisions as needed. So we're going to go up to, it has branching paths, you can pick one or the other. We'll just go with one. And so it's kind of like I said, with HSR, you have the options like with occurrences, and you're selecting it. So this one looks like it's a fight. So I've already beat this one, it looks like, so I get an automatic win on it. It's not going to have to go through the full fight, which is kind of a nice quality of life there. So we're at the reward stage, so I obtain a skill, seed overload here. And okay, here is one where it's now giving us an option. So this is where you can pick which one do you want. So these are two different Trace Awakenings for this card or this card. And so you're going to want to pick what is best for you. Now you have to walk through this to get all the way to the last one here. So even though you may want the stats of one over the other, you may want to go through for the other one just because so you can walk through it. It'll be a decision you need to make. And one of the big things is it usually gives you the option between more skill points or more stats. So far, I have found that skill points are very important just because I run out. Like I'm already, if you look down here, over the cap. So I have 1260 that I need, and I only have 1135. If I don't have enough towards the end, I'm gonna have to pick some skills to not use. So like right here, I like this one. I like my defense. I like getting a lot of defense, and this gives me more skill points, so we'll pick that one. And so there's just gonna be more options here, so I can take more skill points. So this looks like it's gonna be 25 additional skill points, or I can walk through this one and I can get 54 skill points plus defense points. So that one's an easy option there. More skill points plus I'm walking through that Trace Awakening. And then got another one. This is an easy option here. So that's just kind of a quick look at it. So let's go ahead and actually just now turn on the full auto, and you can kind of see how it runs, and we'll kind of talk while it's going through. So now with auto, I'm not playing at all. It's just going to do the fights for me. It's going to use the skills for me, just like in auto and any of the other battles. And then the difficulty of this is going to also depend on your unit. So right now you're already seeing my unit's actually struggling here. I don't know what depth I'm at, but you'll see what happens when you actually lose the fight. It's not the end. It just means it made a decision. I think it went down a level on the depth. So I was already too high for my unit, so you didn't have a high enough defense or vitality to make it higher. So it just reduced that. You didn't get as many rewards because you had to go down a level. And so it's just going to keep moving through this. And it makes the decisions for you, and like what I said, when you look at that full auto, it lets you fine-tune how you want it to make these decisions, so you can tell it what to prioritize over what. But if you really want to min-max your account, you're going to want to do some of this manually, especially when you get to the end game. Because there is quite a lot that you want to do. And you can kind of see here your engraving level down here. Right now I'm B12. As you're moving through, your engraving level is going to go up. And like right now, my max that I have, I think on one of my units was A23. So getting above A23 is going to be what's really good for me. Alright, so now I'm just going to let it run. I'm going to go ahead and put a cut in here so that you don't have to watch this go all the way through. So, if you give me 1 second, and we'll go to the end. Alright, and so we're at the end here. So just finished up onto the final background, so we'll kind of go ahead and finish it real quick. There's a final fight here. We can see if I can do it. For now, for just the demonstration purposes, we're actually just going to avoid it. But it is a big fight that gets some extra bonuses to your team, but you can avoid fights in this. So we're going to go ahead and continue. We're going to make our last selections here. So we'll go with MST. Some more skill points. And you can see, and it only made it to depth level 10 on this unit. Some of my stronger SSRs have actually gotten farther, so we go here. So I'm going to just finish up. It's going to go over your recap, how many battles you've done, your depth that you made it to. And so you have your skills here. So I'm going to go ahead and configure skills, and this is where you have to make the decision on how many. You're going to pick all the skills you want for your team as you went through it. And so I have all these skills here. Now, I don't know if you saw at the end there, but I believe all of these added up to like 5,000 and something. But I only have 3,602 that was made available. So I'm actually not going to be able to get everything. Now, you have some of them where my vitality didn't get high enough to activate this one. So this one's when engraving VIT is at 1,000 or above. So I didn't actually get over 1,000. So there's no reason for me to get this one at all. So there's some that are just not even going to be useful to you, especially in the beginning. So you just have to pick out your skills here. You can pick whatever you want as you go through. They also have down here, you can just do a recommended. It'll fill them out for you. And so right now I only have 92 left, which means I can't fit anything on there. So it looks like it decided to skip couple of them here and there, so I decided to skip this one and a couple others. So you won't be able to get everything unless you're actually able to get enough skill points made available as you're going through it. Just based on my own gameplay of it, I don't believe you're going to be able to even do that because there's just so many skills you can add. But I'm not at end games, so I'm not 100% sure on that. So after that, you can click confirm on your skills. And then it's going to, you can exit out of that. And so here's basically my build. I have 3,985 is our overall. So I'm at A21 with her engraving. And then this is just giving them bond. And see, these are the people that I had used it for assists in some of the fights there. And so you get it finished, and so now I'm going to go into my teams. Then you have your actual total engraving, which is when you add up all of your units engravings. It goes to this level here. And this is the main reason you're going to want to get them all leveled up too, is to get this up as well. So this is your total if you add up all of your units together. They're going to slowly go down this. And this has a ton of XP. It also has a ton of pulls on it. So you can kind of see you have the currency to get pulls as well as pulls on it. And so as you level up your units, you're going to slowly build this up and just get more and more XP as well as pulls. And so that's one big reason to level them as well. So you have that. And then when I actually go and take a look at my team setups, when I go to pick my leader, so these are all the people that I've run through the Nexus. So you can see some of them that I did in the beginning, like they're really low at C5. And then as I've built up my account level, I slowly tried other people. And then some of them I ran through again to get a little stronger. So I have 2 units that are A23 currently, so this one didn't actually do as well. But then you can build your team off with them as a leader. And so that is everything kind of with the Nexus. It can feel a little bit overwhelming in the beginning, but don't worry too much about that. The big thing is just trying to get those engravings on all of your units to get your engraving rating up. As long as your engraving is a decent amount higher than the content that you're currently doing, any team will be able to handle it as long as the leader has that engraving. And we'll see as we get farther in towards the end game, it's going to get more and more important to build out teams. Just know in the beginning you can really kind of just experiment with it to kind of understand the systems, and it's not going to really hamper you if you make a wrong decision here or there in the Nexus. But yeah, If you like my content, if you could like, comment, and subscribe, I plan to continue going through more parts of this game. I do want to go through every Echomancer, which I think I'm going to start doing from this point. So I'm going to go through every Echomancer that is currently available, what kind of my thoughts on them, and maybe some team comps that they could potentially go to. It's all going to be theory crafting. It's not going to be from a meta perspective at all at this point. I'll start getting into that more once the game is actually released. But yeah, I'll go ahead and call it there. Thanks for watching.